And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution is not going to get that man today. No, because I'm going to get him.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and viewers from coast to coast and worldwide to a very special Friday edition of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. I'm Doug Hagmann, founder and director of the Northeast Intelligence Network, located at HomelandSecurityUS.com. With me, to my right, is Joe Hagmann. He's my son. We are both investigators, and we are the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. In fact, you are the jury, I guess, in this case. I want to give out a special thank you to Troy, producer and engineer extraordinaire, for clearing up some of our sound issues that had me about ready to burst a blood vessel. And I think we've got them solved, at least on our end. And for that, I want to thank Troy and the Christians United Broadcasting Network. But Joe, welcome to tonight's program.
I'm glad to be here. Today is a free-for-all Friday.
Rush
really
Limbaugh lingo now.
Well, that's the terminology we use for our Fridays.
That's right.
We have we're going to have open phone lines, as well as we're going to be getting into serious headlines from across the world, as up to 11 different countries are having unrest with U.S. embassies, not only U.S. embassies, embassies in Germany, I think, were taken down.
Yeah. Look, if you're an American out
North
there,
Africa, to the Middle East, we have Tunisia, 3 deaths. Sudan, Egypt, there's a death there. Yemen, 3 deaths. India and Bangladesh, and this is all a huge protest. Also, not just hitting up embassies. Lebanon, they're having riots. They burned down a KFC in Lebanon. Afghanistan. They are having clashes, and a tribe called for a $100,000 bounty on the producer of the film. In Nigeria, troops opened fire with live rounds in the city of Jos as they attempted to disperse crowds of Muslim protesters. In Libya, closed down after Benghazi, where the fatal attack of the consulate and the military people who were with him happened. And we have new information on that attack in Libya, where it's come out now that the evidence of a possible, they knew ahead of time, the White House is denying it, but reports are that the White House was given, and the State Department were given warnings of this attack up until, or as early as September 4th.
That's correct.
Now they are denying that they had any warning at all. And now the State Department has set up a 24-hour monitoring team for embassy crisis. They say this has now gone into a full-blown crisis, organizing around-the-clock effort to coordinate the U.S. government's response to the expanding attacks on U.S. embassies in the Middle East and North Africa.
Well, and here's, ladies and gentlemen, here's what you folks really need to understand. Number one, this was an engineered crisis. This is an engineered crisis. Please understand that. Number two, the film, Innocence of Muslims, has nothing to do whatsoever with the motive behind what's taking place in the Middle East. That is a red herring that has nothing to do with anything except, number one, it has the characteristics, and in fact, I'm going to be putting up a very extensive report on this on our website. That film has a lot of the characteristics of the films that very many similarities between that film and films of Osama bin Laden from 2003, 2004, 05, and 06.
And they also said an interesting thing I heard on a radio program today. I'm not sure which outlet it was from, but that usually when a movie, a cartoon that is insulting or depicting Muhammad in a bad way comes out, that there is warning to U.S. embassies.
That's right.
There is warning to personnel in countries that you would expect to see things like this happen. And there was no warning given to anybody about this movie, whether it was...
Well, no warning from the White House or state.
And I doubt that was an accident, because with this Terry Jones, I'm sure it's looking more like it is government involvement with the film, as we see the propaganda in the media try to pin the blame of who funded the film on somebody that turned out not to be a real person, and it ended up the money came from an Egyptian. It was later.
Okay,
announced.
People have got to understand that film. That parts of that film lay dormant for months, if not a year.
And I haven't seen the film. I don't know. If
No. The only thing that really exists out there is about 16 minutes, roughly, of what I would call a trailer. It's a poorly done rendition of a video. It is a low budget film. For anyone to believe that millions of dollars were spent on this, they're absolutely out of their mind. This film has nothing to do with anything, except this will provide us, and I don't want to get into the specifics on the film because we have an investigation that's ongoing with this. If we can trace back the originators of the film, the people that were involved in its production, then and I think we have. I think we've successfully done that. But then there's the post-production issue of the film, where there's the overdubbing of audio. The audio by the actors and actresses in the film was dubbed.
And what I heard is that they were, and I don't know if this was from True News a couple days ago, they talked about the film being done, and it was supposed to depict, the actors and actresses apparently didn't know exactly what they were doing. They were depicting, from what they knew, some story of a poor, Egyptian person.
The plot does not. The audio was overlaid over the plot of the movie. This is what I'm trying to tell you, everybody. The movie, and again, certain characteristics, and please pay attention to this because this is part of our investigation. Certain characteristics mimic. Are very similar to or match the films of bin Laden. What does that mean? That means that, well, okay, we have traced back some bin Laden films back to our own people.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that tell you?
Yeah, so they put a
CIA operation.
Yeah, they just changed the logos. If you ever notice the old bin Laden films, they have the little Al-Qaeda circle. It was layered to find behind it the CIA logo in one of the Osama bin Laden videos.
Well, okay. Now some of those were put up as, I don't want to say as parodies, but after the fact. So the CIA. No CIA agency or no one from the CIA is going to release a film with a video with the CIA logo on it. If you see that, obviously. You better know that you better double check what the origin of the film is, unless it's a training film, of course. But the bin Laden films from a 3-year period were all done by using the same software, and it can be traced back to our own government. So we need to understand that. So now what do we have here? So we've got an ambassador that was killed, Chris Stevens.
Marine, a SEAL, a Navy SEAL. Yep. He was with another Marine.
Right. Folks, I don't know whether you heard this or not. You have this order by the Department of State. In particular, there's the RSO, the particular department of the State Department, makes the regulations for the standing orders of guarding embassies. For the Marines or for the guards at the embassies not to have live ammunition. I don't know whether you heard this or not. This order had to come from the very top levels of state. If this is true, now we have conflicting reports, but we do believe the Egyptian, at least in the case of the Egyptian embassy, the guards were walking around with unloaded weapons.
Yeah, the Marines were sent there without bullets.
Well, okay. They were
without
told
live ammunition.
They were told that they were not to carry live ammunition on the property of the embassy. which is just totally ridiculous and against the rules against the longstanding orders of the State Department. So you have to know that there's some things that are totally wrong with this. This is a big deal. The fuse of World War III has been lit through this act.
Yeah.
And please understand, this is where we're at. When I say the fuse, it could be a very long fuse or it could be a short fuse. I don't know, but the fuse has been lit for World War III based on what's taking place in the Middle East right now. And Obama has done this specifically to implement an Islamic caliphate from North Africa through Syria, through and including Syria. And there's two goals for this. Number one is the eradication of Israel, annihilation of Israel, and number two is simply to establish the Islamic caliphate. There's also the globalist agenda behind the Obama agenda, which includes taking the money from looting the countries, installing central banks, and just raping their wealth.
For those of you who may be new to the program, just a quick explanation. I mean, the global elites are going to use the Muslims to carry out their tools, and will continue to funnel the resources out of America to other countries. And you look at an army like China's. Well, they can easily, and are doing so, giving China a lot of resources now, really help grow their economy. The global elitists can take control of China like they did America. And when the time comes, use their army to wipe out the Muslims, because they're in the way of the ultimate goal of total population wipeout and dominance of the world, so they can live their life of half man, half robot that never dies. Because, and it gets into the spiritual realm there, where they cannot die, or they think they cannot die because they know which master they serve.
Yeah, and now look, it's a shame to admit this, but the Al Qaeda flag, it's a black flag with the Arabic writing on it, is now flying over the U.S. Embassy in Tunisia. Now, isn't that something?
Well, there was a mob that burned the American flag in London, at the embassy in London. Same thing in Tunisia, same thing in Sudan, same thing in Egypt, and we can go on. I mean, Nigeria, we have all these countries, and now the State Department, like I stated at the beginning of the show, has put out they said this has gone to a full-blown crisis, and they're in full-blown crisis mode, to begin round-the-clock effort coordinating with the U.S. government's response to the expanding attacks on U.S. embassies in the Middle East and North Africa. The State Department has stood up to a 24-hour monitoring team to ensure appropriate coordination of information and our response. In addition, our consulate team is working with our missions around the world to protect American citizens and issue appropriate public warden information, senior State Department officials told reporters Friday afternoon. But you know what? That's not accurate, because the State Department has not done their job in warning the embassies in the first place.
Well, that's by design. That is not by accident. That's by design.
And as reports come out that the White House protest Obama, and through Jay Carney today had a press conference, said that this is not directed at the U.S. This rage, these unrest and embassy attacks are not directed at the U.S.
That's right.
Jay Carney
That's right. That's what he said. But that's
the embassy attacks throughout the Middle East suggest that extremists view the U.S. under President Obama as weak on foreign policy. He says, we're happy to debate the foreign policy, and they're very proud of the president's record on foreign policy. But that's not what this is about. This is about the film. And while it does not justify violence, it is the reason for the...
who's saying that? Carney?
Jay Carney.
No, it's, once again, folks, and please, if there's nothing else you take away from tonight's program, understand this film has absolutely nothing to do with it except to act as a piece of evidence of the government's complicity in what's taking place in the Middle East right now.
Yeah.
Again, understand that part, because it is so important. And I saw a question pass by, I think from Debbie in the chat room. Is this the green light? Well, I'll let you know. I don't know. I have not heard. I think, to answer your question, I believe it to be part of it. I think that what's taking place now is, again, lighting the fuse. There are additional things. This is not over. This is just the beginning. Let's put it that way. In the Middle East, this is going to spread, and when it does, Israel is going to become involved. Obviously, in Iran, Syria's going to become involved, and then watch what happens in America. So indirectly, yes, this kind of is the start of that fury and chaos that is going to be coming to America.
What do people expect when we have foreign policy that promotes the overthrowing of governments to give the power to radical governments? And in this clip I'm going to play, it is Reality Check, Ben Swan, and he was actually on Alex Jones today, and I haven't watched him
we have
Alex
to get
Jones in a while, but
we have to get Ben Swan on.
Turned it on, yeah, and I saw him on there because I was thinking about that today, getting him on the show, and he was on Jones, and I'm thinking, he got in front of us on that one, getting him on there, but he came out with a new YouTube video, Ben Swan did, and I was going to play the one where he just came out with a few very rapidly, and one of them was where he interviews Obama. Well, I didn't have to put that one in here because this is part of the audio we're going to play for you now. Now, this is Ben Swan talking about, does the attack on Libya change U.S. foreign policy moving forward from here?
All right. Let's see where we go with this.
Well, 2 days after we aired my one-on-one interview with President Obama about why the U.S. would be fighting al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and yet supporting them in Syria, we may now be seeing the price of that foreign policy, one that began under President Bush and has been carried through the Arab Spring. Tonight, the latest on the fallout in the Middle East and why the media's narrative on that Arab Spring can't change the facts. This is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. The attacks on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya were just the beginning. The first in what is now spreading across the Middle East. No, not the Arab Spring that the national media and politicians want to tell you is the birth of new democracies. Much of what is being sold to the American people by media and politicians is simply not accurate. The idea that the United States has been growing allies across the Middle East since the war in Iraq isn't true. Look at what has happened just today. Violence is once again spreading at the American embassy in Cairo. Police officers today trying to control protesters, throwing tear gas into the crowds. Protesters now storming the U.S. embassy compound in Yemen. The demonstrators there tearing down building signs and burning the American flag, but not entering buildings housing the offices. In Yemen, where the U.S. has conducted more than 40 airstrikes on towns just this year. In Iraq, protesters gathering in an angry but peaceful protest demanding the expulsion of U.S. diplomats. And get this, more clashes following that deadly attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, where 4 Americans were killed on Tuesday, including the U.S. ambassador to Libya, Chris Stevens. And it is in Libya, this bastion of so-called new democracy, where the U.S. has now sent 2 American warships to the coast. Today, President Obama already dispatching an elite group of Marines into Tripoli and ordering increased security at all U.S. missions around the world. And in the midst of all of this, the political finger-pointing. President Obama trying to appear in control, Republican challenger Mitt Romney saying that the president has failed to lead. But what you need to know is that the real problem here isn't the person in the White House per se, it's the policy. Remember, in my one-on-one with the president, I asked him this question.
You mentioned about al-Qaeda during your speech, going after al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, certainly going after them in Yemen as well. Yeah. And yet there's some concern about the U.S. funding the Syrian opposition when there are a lot of reports that al-Qaeda is kind of heading up that opposition. How do you justify the two?
Well, I share that concern, and so what we've done is to say we will provide non-lethal assistance to Syrian opposition leadership that are committed to a political transition, committed to an observance of human rights. We're not going to just dive in and get involved with a civil war that, in fact, involves some elements of people who are genuinely trying to get a better life, but also involve some folks who would, over the long term, do the United States harm.
And the president's answer is even more important tonight than when that question was first asked. Because the real issue isn't how strongly will the U.S. respond to the uprisings in Libya, in Egypt, and in Yemen. The real question, will the U.S. keep pushing forward in Syria when the exact same blueprint for democracy in Egypt and in Libya clearly isn't working? And that is Reality Check. If you would like to make your voice heard on this story, obviously the situation in Libya, more information coming in all the time. You can comment on my Facebook.
And that was Ben Swan.
Yeah. Now, look, again, folks, please, film, no. Violence, orchestrated. This is an engineered series of attacks from Northeast, or in the North Africa, in the Middle East.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree. I think there is an element of coordination here between the countries. Maybe a green light was given to start, something
absolutely.
to distract us from something on our end, or to, give something a push, or, like I said, to take away from something else. But what we have also today to cover is the news of the economy, the quantitative easing part 3 that Ben Bernanke said he would not do, promised he would not do. Well, this is an unconditional QE3, where they are doing it for no time period is given. It is an indefinite. And what they're going to be doing is pumping, up to $80 billion of U.S. dollars into the economy by printing it and then buying up their own bad, toxic assets through their bonds. And what they're doing is really an all-out assault on the dollar, and they are going to try to collapse this currency as best they can. The decline of the dollar has been over 40% since Obama has taken office, or the wealth of the Americans has been taken away by 40%.
That's right.
Since Obama has taken office. The value of the dollar has dropped over 90%, close to 98% since the Federal Reserve began in 1913. So it does not have that much farther to fall. We have the widest gap now between the rich and the poor since 1967, as we read, I think on Monday, that was one of the headlines. And it just keeps getting worse, and it's going to keep getting worse as long as we have people in Washington who are the people, policymakers, and the string pullers whose mission and agenda is to destroy and bring down the United States and its economy.
Right. And this bounce that we're seeing in Wall Street right now, because of this mention of the QE3, because of this this unlimited amount of money, this is a false bounce. This is done as a favor or to assist Obama, but as you pointed out, it's going to add to the inflation and deflation. And hyperinflation, I should say, deflation of the American dollar and hyperinflation here in America. This time, the quantitative easing is going to be open-ended. As you mentioned, the Fed's going to buy $40 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities per month now, until they've decided the economy is in good enough shape, to stop what they're doing. Quantitative easing and mortgage-backed securities. Don't let those names fool you. What the Fed is basically saying is, we're going to print a whole bunch of money, and we're going to buy stuff, meaning, the debt, until such time as we can't do it anymore.
Well, see, what they're doing is taking the money, buying up assets with that money themselves personally.
Correct.
And they're doing the same thing, telling their friends to, while they're pumping up this money, leaving the rest of Americans, business owners, and even a lot of the people who politicians and serve the politicians will be left fighting in the streets for what little scraps of rice and beans are left after the fabric of society unravels and there is no more free supply and demand and the chain of delivering food to stores. And that will break down. As prices continue to rise, when hyperinflation starts, as quantitative QE3 will lead to. Ron Paul, his quote today was, "Americans should be panicked by this," and I agree with him. Gerald Celente.
Americans don't know what's going on, and that's the sad part.
Right.
$85 billion with a B, $1 billion a month. The Fed is going to be buying these mortgage-backed securities, $85 billion a month right now. That's what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Look, here's a statement from the Fed. This was released earlier today to support a stronger economic recovery and to help ensure that inflation over time is at the rate most consistent with dual mandated. The committee agreed today to increase policy accommodation by purchasing additional mortgage-backed securities at a pace of $40 billion per month. Now, Okay, it goes on to add another $45 billion. Basically, it says these actions, which together will increase the committee's holdings of long-term securities by about $85 billion each month through the end of the year. And you're doggone right, people should be panicking. So we've got the war basically started in the Middle East. We've got the the left turn downward trend here of our economy. Now, also during this time, China has taken this opportunity too to kind of get in the scrap over some islands with Japan.
Yeah,
and they're going to take those.
Yeah, we have Department of Homeland Security SWAT raids unannounced on school campuses. Department of Homeland Security SWAT team stages unannounced military-style raid on public university campus.
And this is exclusive to listeners of this program. I don't believe this is anywhere else. Folks, listen carefully to what's going on domestically with the Department of Homeland Security at your college campuses.
The Cincinnati SWAT team conducted a large-scale search and room entry raid on the University of Cincinnati without notifying students early this week, a university spokesman confirmed on Thursday. A video posted on YouTube on September 11th by a passerby depicts nearly a dozen heavily armed men piling out of a black armored vehicle bearing a large Department of Homeland Security sticker.
Right.
Most of the officers appear to be carrying high-powered assault rifles. A spokesman for the university, Greg Hand, initially denied knowledge of the raid, but later confirmed a search and room entry drill had occurred and added that the campus community had not been warned. The drill did not involve UC students, Hand said. We do not notify the campus more broadly when we are using buildings that are in use, particularly by students. The video, however, shows multiple pedestrians walking past the drill, and the still unidentified cameraman claiming that he stumbled upon the scene while heading to class. He says, "I just rolled into the UC campus for class and ran into this scene right here," says an unidentified student who captured the incident on camera. He also had a dialogue with one of the officers, and the student said, "Thank you. Are you guys local? Is this all Cincinnati? Are there any federal agencies involved with you guys?" And the SWAT member said, "Do not ask so many questions." Basically saying,
shut up.
Yeah, if you want to observe, do so, but shut up and stay back. And it's as far as we've gotten to right now, but we have news of other universities now are getting warnings, bomb threats, terror scares, as one university in Texas was shut down and evacuated. Classes canceled today by Al-Qaeda threats. There's a scare at Kansas City in one of the federal buildings there. North Dakota University also had a bomb threat, as well as Valparaiso University, an unspecified threat. Actually, in Austin, the nuclear reactor was evacuated also.
Well, let's take one of these at a time. And I'm going to tell you something. I was on Genesis Radio this morning on USA Preparedness. In fact, if you go to HomelandSecurityUS.com, the top article there currently, Vince Finelli, there's an hour-long interview that I did with him this morning. And I would urge everyone to take a listen to that, because I think here's what is being designed. You've got all of this news, and like we talked the other day, what we're experiencing right now is a glut of news, 24/7. This is just news is coming at us at an incredible pace, and it's all bad. Pre-traumatic stress disorder is really the word of the day, and that's what people are suffering from, and that will force everyone into this normalcy bias, because you're going to shut down, and you're going to say, you know what, I can't deal with this, and you're going to get your bowl of ice cream and watch Happy Days.
That's for some of those people.
Right.
Some of the other people I saw in Colorado watching Alex Jones today after Ben Swan was on. They said that there was a federal court ruling that ruled if they find a marijuana seed, that they can confiscate your car, your firearms, and your belongings, your house.
Well, it goes right along with the erosion of liberty. I mean, erosion of rights.
And this is a new threshold they're passing.
Yeah, a new standard.
There's always been asset seizures or forfeitures in certain cases, especially if you're trafficking. I can understand if they take your car if you got 3 tons of cocaine you're shipping back and forth, unless obviously you're working for Eric Holder and the U.S. government and Fast and Furious and whatever they're doing with the Sinaloa drug cartel. But if you're not under those special, parameters, then you will have your car confiscated. But
that's right.
Instead of, what used to happen is if you got pulled over and maybe if you had a bag of marijuana on you, they would give you a summary offense or a misdemeanor, let you go home, put you in jail for a night. But now, they even smell it in your car. It's like they're going to take your car away from you. They're going to take your house away from you. And these laws are
growing up, though,
or tyrannical. The marijuana shouldn't be illegal in the first place in a free society.
Well, yeah, okay.
But that's all for a whole other show. But
you weren't alive during the 70s. You were not alive during the 70s. So really, to me, your opinion on this, I've got to say, I've got to override you a little bit. Okay, the whole thing goes back to if you lived through the 70s and the 60s and the 70s. Right. I mean, there was marijuana arrests. In fact, the best thing you could do if you want to relive that era, watch the series Dragnet, the old half-hour television series, if you can find it, and you'll see how society depicted marijuana. And LSD was a big thing just coming out right now. But here's the thing. You're right. Okay, the standard of proof is being lowered, but why is it being lowered? Is it being lowered because marijuana is a big bad drug? No, it's being lowered to fund the municipal police departments and the state police departments through asset seizures and through fines. So,
they could make a lot more money if it were illegal.
Well, but exactly, but you would not. But they could not marginalize the same number of people because don't forget the goal, as Larry Grathwell had said last night, the goal of this administration in particular, and of the revolutionaries and the communists that we have running the country. And I was on Tom Bowerly's show on WBN the day before yesterday for an hour and a half, and I said, look, we've got communists and revolutionaries running the country. Well, I got some really nasty emails from that saying, basically I'm nuts. There are no communists or revolutionaries running our country. Well, there certainly are.
They're called Democrats.
No.
Yeah. We're not a...
No, but the thing is this. In the mindset, they want to incarcerate more people. They want to take people and marginalize them.
It's more than that, though. Hemp, you can get into the whole hemp argument.
Well,
I was reading George Washington. I have one of his books, his diary, his all his papers. I forget what it's called, George Washington and the Federalist Papers or whatever. And he talks about one of his main crops was hemp, and they use it for oil. They use it for clothing, cloth making.
Yeah,
there's multiple uses for it. It also has multiple health benefits for people who have cancer and other illnesses. But I mean, alcohol is much worse than marijuana. But we're not going to get into this debate right now.
In fact, I'll tell you what. I don't want to let callers. This is open lines tonight. Since we've really been, we had a number of guests during the week here. Certainly, it's a caller-driven show. So let's go to the phones, folks. If you want to call in tonight, if you've got something on your mind you want to discuss, and there's plenty to discuss. 661-244-9839. Don't be shy. 661-244-9839. In the meanwhile, let's take a call from Jason. Jason, you're on with Doug and Joe Hagmann.
Hey, guys, God bless you. How you doing tonight?
Good, sir. What's on your mind, my friend?
All right, well, Doug, you said you're not positive yet that World War III has basically been kindled. Well, I think I have your answer, and it's emphatic, without a doubt, yes. And this is how this is what my spirit's telling me. And I heard this from Rick Wiles on True News a couple nights ago.
Oh, hang on a second, Jason. Did I say I'm not sure? Because I thought I said the fuse.
You said you didn't know.
Okay, you know what?
But you're not positive.
It's been a long day, Jason. It's been a long week. Let me tell you something. It is my belief. Let me clarify this. It's my belief that World War III the fuse for World War III has been lit. But go ahead with what you're now. My apologies if that didn't come through or if I misspoke. Go ahead.
No, maybe I misheard you. So maybe it's my bad. Whatever. But I think we can be sure, and this is why. Rick Wiles said this on True News. Let's go back to September 11th, 1990, okay? We get George Bush Sr.'s New World Order speech, right? 11 years later, Doug, 11 years later, September 11th, 2001, what happens?
I'm not sure.
11 years later, September 11th, 2012, what happens? The assassination in Tripoli, and now the Middle East is on fire with protests against the U.S.
Yeah,
we know that the globalists are absolutely obsessed with numerology.
Yes,
they're you know.
Yeah. You make a good point, we should have really drilled that in. 11 years.
I've talked to somebody about that. Angie, actually, she has a book that has the meanings of numbers, the prophetic meanings of numbers, and the meaning of 11 was some kind of judgment, I think, or destruction, or shift, or some kind of shift. And
but what book, though? I mean,
it's the prophetic. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to get the clarification when I get a chance. Probably Monday. I'll say it.
Well, Jason, what do you think? Okay, look, what do you think is going to happen with this? 11 years to the day. You're right, after 9/11, and then 22 years after, or 2 11s after the New World Order speech, we have Ambassador being basically sacrificed. And folks, by the way, if you do not believe the photographs, as I said, I think I might mention this last night. Look, this guy was brutally murdered. He was sodomized.
Sodomized. Can you believe that? Sodomized?
Oh, yeah. I can't believe that, unfortunately.
400 attackers stormed the compound.
He got Gaddafi'd.
Yeah.
I mean, he really did.
It was a coordinated attack, and the White House is denying, that they had any knowledge, even though other papers, even from the UK, are saying, you guys were warned.
And meanwhile, Hillary Clinton's saying, "Oh wow, Islam is this amazing religion that's been around for 3,000 years. My God, what is happening to our country?"
Yeah, 3,000 years, huh?
Radical Islam cannot.
That's what she said.
Yeah, boy, I wonder what calendar she's using. But
Sharia law cannot coexist with the laws of our republic. And
Amen.
If Muslims want to live in America, then they have to live under American laws. Just like if we wanted to move to Saudi Arabia, we couldn't expect them to put the American Constitution as their law for us.
Right.
But
absolutely.
That said, they are coming here, getting our laws changed. At the same time, our government is helping them overthrow the countries, taking it from secular dictatorship to very extreme leadership roles over there now. So we have these killers that are the extreme sect of Islam running nations. So it's no wonder.
Insane.
And this is by design. Jason, do you have any doubt whatsoever in your mind that this is not by design, what's taking place over there?
Doug, if you can't see it, I mean, if anybody, at this point, seriously, let's look at history. I love our country, but we have to acknowledge, we really do have to acknowledge that we coordinate to make things happen with our enemies, and it's hard. It's really hard for me as a patriotic American, and any patriotic American. It's tough, but we come to the point where we know that we funded Hitler. A lot of our elite families, the big money. You know how we have to look at this, guys? The small people, the little ones, the sheep. And I'm using the term sheep in a positive way, meaning the sheep of Jesus Christ. We are being lauded over by these satanic, Luciferian, Sabbatean scumbags. And this has always been the battle. Ever since, even Abraham, I mean, we can go way back. It's always been the case that there's, in Babylon it was Nimrod. There was this maniac that rose and said, you know what, you got to worship me. And we're coming to that point again.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, I went off on a biblical tangent there. That's where I always go. But
my point. You're right.
Thank you. My point is, yes, Doug. This is so coordinated, and it's so in the open. I mean, Obama and the administration can't even get our enemies straight anymore. I mean, he's okay. So there. Wait, Barack, you're saying Al Qaeda in Libya is good, and at one time because they got rid of Gaddafi, right. But now they're bad because they kill and sodomize our ambassador there. What is this?
Yeah, same result. They did the same action to two different people, and they're good at one point for killing and sodomizing a person, and bad in another story.
It's, you know, look, anyone listening to the news or watching the news, I can understand why, you know, you guys are suffering from pre-traumatic stress disorder because, and plus, you know, you're looking at a schizophrenic.
I was just going to say that.
Or
they're trying to make us schizophrenic by what they're telling us. Exactly. Oh, we're at war with East Asia. No, it's 1984. That's all I could say.
Well, it's in fact, Jason, I believe it's 1984 meets the Book of Revelations and Psalm 83.
Yeah, it's on steroids. We are in the time of sorrows. That's all I could say.
I agree.
That's good. I agree indeed. Man, anything else on your mind, my friend?
Well, I don't want to take anybody else's time, but I love talking to you guys, and I could talk to you all night. But all I can say is I love the chat room. Like I'm starting to feel like, you know, brother and sister with some of the people in that chat room. And all I could say is, Debbie, call in because you're awesome. We all love you. We want to hear your voice. So God bless you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, Deb, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
She is awesome. Let me tell you something I've come to know. And yet, that's what's great about this program. You're able to interact with other people in the chat room. So by all means, log in and get to know everybody.
And for all the people who listen to the show archive, I know if you are at work or whatever, if you can't listen live, whenever you do have a chance, get in the chat room, sign in, make a username, password, I think, for Blog Talk Radio. You get your screen name, and you can join the interactive chat, our family at the interactive chat. Very informed, very spiritual. Any prayer requests, I mean, you need anything. This is where you go to talk to the people.
On, man. And, you know, again, this is a listener-driven show, and we want to cater to what you want to talk about, where your interests lie, to the extent that we are, you know, that it would be applicable to our program. So, with that in mind, let's go back to the phones here. Let's take 856 area code 856. You're on with Doug and Joe.
Hi, Doug, Joe.
Hey.
I've been following your program all week, and I figured I was going to time out on the news. And yesterday, about 2 hours before you came on air, I flipped on Now the Invention, which is another Christian network.
Right.
And I put on, it was a title for the ambassador that was killed over there. And they had the pictures up of what happened to him, and it was just like a real slap in the face to me, and it was terrible, absolutely horrible. But to add insult to injury was these Navy SEALs that couldn't even defend anybody with no ammunition. That just made me all the madder, you know.
Yeah. Well,
and the thing is Barry came out there yesterday in the Rose Garden, and he made the statement that nobody should offend the Islamic religion, was pretty much what he was saying.
Right.
He gave them the okay to do what they're doing right now.
And isn't it funny, Sheila, that video is still being hosted by YouTube? All right, the White House has asked, in quotation marks, asked the YouTube to review it for content.
Yeah, you know how fast they get YouTube videos off there that they don't like. It takes about 2 seconds. A phone call to the right person, it's gone.
Yeah, look, Alex Jones. I could tell you this. I've talked to Alex Jones off air. His YouTube account has been cleaned out. I shouldn't say totally cleaned out, but cleaned out with various films. A lot. So you're right. I mean, look, this is a staged, choreographed event.
Whole channels get shut off of YouTube for one video all the time.
Right. So, Sheila, you're right.
There was a link that I went to on that particular article, and it was to do with that video, and I was almost scared to get on that, but my curiosity got the best of me, and I went on there, and to me, it wasn't nothing. It was only like, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes long, if that. It just showed a man standing behind his van, and he had this thing hanging on a pole. It looked like the devil, and evidently that was supposed to have been Muhammad.
Right.
You know, and I couldn't even tell you what the man said. I was just so flabbergasted, but I'm not sure if that's the video they're talking about. Being it was linked up, I'm assuming it was a piece of it.
It was probably. It sounds to me, by your description, to be a piece of the actual video trailer. Actually, you've got a piece of the trailer, which, but that's okay. Because again, that's just a red herring. We have to, again, that we please understand that's a red herring. Despite the fact that today the FBI had just issued a paper warning, a bulletin, saying that to expect violence here in America because of this anti-Islamic movie. Look, it's again this.
Ain't nobody doing nothing here.
What's that?
Nobody's doing nothing here.
No, but the FBI is planting the seed and really ushering in this crackdown, which we're going to see as a result of what's going on. This is going to spill over. I mean, again, this will spill over. At least it will appear to be that way.
Do you see the Muslims getting in our streets?
I didn't hear you.
I said, do you see the Muslims getting in our streets?
Well, no, not unless it's engineered chaos in that respect.
And we're being warned of it by the FBI, according to ABC News. I have a link to an article with a video of one of their hosts talking about Americans need to be on guard.
Yeah, I got the bulletin from the FBI saying that all Americans need to heighten their situational awareness for Muslim anger because of this film. What film? Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. No, I didn't hear nothing like that until I read that article, on Now the End Begins. But
Indeed.
The thing that makes me so mad, Doug, is while this crap is going on, I saw a video the other day, and it made me sick to my stomach, of a man that was a Christian man over there in Egypt being crucified. And yet they want to talk this crap about the Muslims and how they're offended over Muhammad. But yet they're crucifying anybody over there that believes in Christ.
That's right.
There ain't no talk about that.
Right. They can offend God all they want, but you offend...
And the video is out there. Where's the people yelling,
Well, again, we're being set up. Folks, understand this. We are being set up. Please understand. This is a big set.
Yep.
Okay.
Amen, brother.
Sheila, thanks for your call. God bless you.
Okay. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Let's go right to another call, Joe.
We have two from area code 480. We're going to try to go to the first one.
We're going to try this again here. I don't know.
No, you did it. You got it right.
Oh,
area code 480. You are on the line with the Hagmann Report.
Hi, Doug and Joe?
Yeah, it's us.
And just for the other caller on hold from 480, we'll get to you next.
All right. Hey, I was actually just listening to you. I don't get to listen to you live very often, but, boy, some of the shows, I just got to commend you guys. Some of the shows that you guys been having on are just unbelievable. Last night, I think it was last night with Henry Grover and Steve Quayle.
That was the night before, yes. Yes, 3 hours.
Was that? Wow. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing. And, for the people out there, I mean, I'm just, I feel very fortunate to have gotten through to you guys in the first time. But, boy, I'm a vet of the first Gulf War. And what I'm seeing, and you guys are probably seeing it too, is this passivity, which almost seems like an oxymoron where, we're always, talking about war and conflicts and things like that. Well, people don't understand, because it hasn't been on our soil for so long that the Iranians, if we get into a conflict with the Iranians, they're going to bring it to our home soil. And so this should be a wake-up call for everybody out there to, really be on your guard, be on alert.
Yeah, I think, exactly. Be on alert. And I think that people have to be prepared right now. I think we are entering in the most dangerous 90-day period in the history of our country.
Well, definitely the most,
or 120
unstable
days.
The most next 90 days being the most insecure as far as our economic situation. How bad will hyperinflation and unemployment get? As far as how far will they take this or let this, Muslim rage continue in the Middle East? And if it boils over here, you can guarantee it would be started and continued by government agitators if it does boil over here. So, a lot of things are out of the control of our hands, and it seems like everything is in the control of their hands. The only weapon we have is the Lord and His discernment and, what He tells us to do, the instruction He gives us on a day-to-day basis. And that's more than enough to fight any threat. As Henry Groover said, he would never have to defend himself, with a weapon against anybody because he knows God will take care of it.
And we need that in a spiritual sense. That's what we need. But in a practical sense, look, we have to guard our food. We guard our family. We are required by God to be prepared. I believe that God. We can't stand in traffic and say I'm not going to get hit because God's going to protect me. Okay, it's stupid. You got to get out, get your butt out of the road. So you can't sit in the house when you've got we'll say whatever assets you might have, whether it's food, whether it's precious metals, even if you got one, or one can of beans, it doesn't matter. I think God requires us to be prepared, and He's going to look at us and say, "Hey, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you? Look, I'm not going to take care of you. I'm telling you, you got to take care of yourself. I will protect you to the extent that I do. But you've got to have that. You can't be so heavenly minded that your brains fall out. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. I think more and more people, and you've said this, and Steve Quillo said this also, that they're going back to. Like the parable about the bridesmaids, trimming their wicks, and so they're preparing for the groom.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're seeing more and more people really going, hey, look, what is savings? They're really questioning what security really is. And, we're seeing this down here, and this is all aspects of society and economic statute that, people they're driving around Mercedes and Porsches, they have food stores. They're not living like things are going to go on forever either. They're planning for the worst and hoping for the best. And, it's all segments of society, which is great because, finally people are waking up and they're, instead of looking at their 401ks and going, hey, I can retire in 3 years, they're going, well, maybe we should cash out some of this 401k and put it into tangible assets.
Right.
Which, I'm so happy to see people waking up. And the conversation is all over. You just walk through the stores, not even instigating that conversation. You're overhearing people talk about the instability and the uncertainty of how things actually are.
But caller, let me ask you a question. Now, I've heard, I have heard that. I was in a big box store buying razors, actually, if you really want to know the truth. Because they're that much cheaper. But anyway, that said, I was looking at food, and I'm thinking, wow, how they sell, you can never buy just one 12-ounce bottle of ketchup, for example. You got to buy a 55-gallon drum. But anyway, that said, you're hearing this talk, okay? Where was I going with that? You're hearing this talk, but do people that you're listening to, that you're hearing this from, do they sense that the hour, in your estimation, do they sense that the hour is coming near, that the time is close? Or do they still far off?
They do. I'm hearing this from people I never would have thought to be hearing this from. And, I'm a born-again Christian. I try to think that my eyes are the Holy Spirit has opened my eyes and making me aware and prepared for some of this. But, just people commenting, the box stores here, we have a big LDS community in Arizona. So the whole idea of year supply and food storage is very common. to people down here. But you would see that at places like the Bishop Storehouse, which is almost like a Mormon storehouse where, you know, people from their wards, which are their local churches around here, would go and purchase these things. But now these things are in normal box stores. I mean, we're talking like Walmart's have the 5-gallon buckets of oats, and the Costco's and the Sam's Clubs, and you're seeing, I mean, it's just the funniest thing. You know, water down here is very, you know, precious, and people know the only difference between Arizona and a lot of places in the United States, and let's just say the Sudan desert, is electricity. I mean, we have basically no ground, you know, surface water, and so everything's coming out of the ground or pumped in from, you know, Colorado River or whatever free flow streams that we have. So people are becoming, you're driving by these houses sometimes, and you're seeing pallets of water inside people's garages that you've never seen before. I mean, these 150 or 200-gallon, you know, containers of water. And so people, and, you know, extra gasoline and, you know, people going through stores buying gas cans. And, you know, there was a time, and you probably had that back there in Ohio, where you go into a sporting goods store to buy ammunition. And that, I mean, literally a buddy of mine would, you know, picture me, and all of the shelves were empty.
Oh, yeah?
There was no ammunition to be had. I mean, and so, you know, I think it really is. There's a sense of anxiousness, of uncertainty, of something's getting ready to happen, but they can't really put their finger on it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you think that these people, okay, I have to ask you, since you've been listening, the elections of 2012, if we have the elections, what do you see happening? Who do you see getting in? Do you see Obama getting back in for another 4 years, or do you see a change in leadership, whatever difference that might make?
That, I mean, I think I follow right along the same lines as you and Steve Quayle, where it's almost like changing, you know, I hope Romney does get in. I wish Ron Paul would be able to get in, but even if Romney gets in, it's like changing the captain of the Titanic after it's already hit the iceberg. I think we're in trouble, but we might be in a little bit less trouble. We might have time to, you know, at least not slide further down, maybe hold a little bit of ground to be able to tread water for some reform. But, you know, I have a feeling that just economic, and I'm a small business owner, I work in the real estate industry, you know, there's so much uncertainty. There is, you know, so many small businesses are just hanging on by their fingertips right now. If Obama gets elected in, it's not good economically at all. I mean, people are just hanging on for dear life, and have been for the last 4 years, to see some glimmer of hope. I have a feeling if he got in, I mean, I don't know. It would be bad. Hopefully it wouldn't. I mean, hopefully it wouldn't turn violent, kind of, you know, something like that. But economically, I think it'd be very bad if he got back in, because they don't see him as a growth person. They don't see him as a job creator. He looks down on tax cuts when, you know, my gosh, Joe and I probably think a lot alike, where, hey, what's the Constitution say about taxes, and who levies them, and how much, and, you know, what are they really used for? It's kind of over the top how much they're taxing us right now and what they're spending the money on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Joe.
And Mitt Romney gets elected. I see the economic situation not doing any better at all.
I don't think anyone can corral that.
We have a private Federal Reserve that issues the currency of our money. They set the interest rates and control inflation versus hyperinflation. And as long as we have overlords, international money cabal controlling the supply of money in this country, we will never fix the economic solution until we get that control back.
Indeed. Well, caller, I want to thank you for your call. As we approach the top of the hour break, anything else on your mind?
I think that's it for now. I mean, there's just so much uncertainty out there. I'd love to see, you know, there's talk in the GOP about going back to the gold standard, and I don't know if they're just jumping on that bandwagon, but, you know, Chris Duane with Silver Shield Report, he's got some great information that you've probably looked up to, and of course, you know, Steve Quayle and his precious metals, and, you know, the sites that he refers to. I would love to see a backed currency again. But, we know what happened to the people that tried to put that in place, obviously, over the last 100 years or so, what happened to them. So hopefully, it could actually move forward and,
Didn't turn out too well for those people, did it?
No, it didn't.
Indeed. All right. My friend, thank you so much for your call. We're going to put you back in queue here.
Up against the first break. That first hour went so fast.
Indeed it did. Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. I'm Doug Hagmann. With me is Joe Hagmann. We're every weekday, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m.
And when we come back from the break, we're going to go to 480 area code again, and then Vernon, and then 413, so stay on the line. We'll be back after these short messages.
Before we go to the commercial breaks, I do want to give a plug to our new sponsor, mindregard.com. That is mindregard.com. They're the makers of nootropic or nootropic, depending on what part of the country you're from. Nootropic. I'm going to tell you something, folks. Go to HomelandSecurityUS.com, top right corner of our website. Click on the banner for www.mindregard.com. You got to get yourself some of this. This is a nutritional supplement that will just, seriously, it'll give you more energy. It's a balanced formula of ingredients that really, it's a healthy it's a healthy way to increase your blood flow and cognition. Antioxidant support, mood enhancement. It's got lion's mane, which I never heard of, but this is one of the few, if not the only product that has that in it. It's designed to improve blood circulation and oxygen delivery. It's an enhanced neurotransmitter. It interacts with the brain. It again, that also provides mood enhancement. But the biggest effect I saw, a clearer head and more energy. And I got to tell you something else. My blood sugar levels have been positively impacted by this. Now, I can't say with certainty that's the reason, but that's the only thing I changed. So anyway, mindregard.com. Be sure to visit them and tell them the Hagmann Report sent you.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com. Or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the Internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Aileta Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Just a stone's throw from the U.S. Embassy, protesters blocked by a hastily built cement block wall. It's as far as they could go, but it didn't stop a concerted attack on police behind the barricades. They have instructions to stop anyone reaching the embassy. Protesters, mostly young men, tore up paving stones and hurled rocks towards the police lines. They hammered on their own protective barriers as police themselves hurled rocks back at the crowd. The injured on both sides hurriedly taken away for medical treatment. The violence, sparked by a video demeaning the Prophet Muhammad, has gone on pretty much without interruption here for 2 days and nights. But the Muslim Brotherhood cancelled a nationwide day of protest. And away from the barricades, people argued amongst themselves about the rights and wrongs of the demonstrations. People are angry, though.
This for Obama. This for Obama. You know, Obama for this is for Obama.
Well, if it's a largely symbolic attempt to get to the American embassy, which is only a short distance up the road behind that barrier that has been built, the police are on the other side there throwing things back as the protesters are throwing rocks and stones or pretty much anything they can get their hands on back over at them. Because, as I say, this is something that is happening all over the Middle East. They're trying to make that symbolic effort to get to the United States Embassy in countries across the region.
In Sudan, the American, British and German embassies were all attacked by demonstrators, setting fires and shouting slogans as police tried to control them with tear gas. Police in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, fired live rounds over the heads of thousands trying to reach the embassy for a second day. Water cannon was used to control the crowd. In Lebanon, where the Pope is visiting, protesters clashed with the police and burnt a fast food outlet. Dozens were injured in the clashes and one person has died. Protesters in Tunis again focused their attention on the US Embassy. Shots were heard across the city. Across the Muslim world, anger over the film is bringing people onto the streets. In Egypt, the president, like other leaders, has called for calm. But a minority is certainly spoiling for a fight, and it looks unlikely to calm down here for quite a while yet.
Hold on to your seat. The Hagmann and Hagmann flight is now taking off. Doug and Joe Hagmann have cleared the runway of TSA agents, jihadists, political crackpots, and global elitists. Now get ready for some real news. Here they are, Doug and Joe Hagmann.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this time. 14th edition of Hagmann Report. My name is Joe Hagmann, and you are listening to the new intro music, intro section there provided by.
You know who's singing that,
wonderful.
Folks? Wait! Don't say, folks. Do you know who's singing that song? Anyone want to take a stab at it in our interactive chat? I know it's too long. I know it's too long. We actually, I uploaded the wrong clip, okay? But, anyone want to take a stab at who was singing that song? Okay.
Miss Lori Ross.
Yeah, that's right.
The one and only.
That's right. So anyway.
But welcome back to hour number 2 on this Friday. We are going to spend the rest of the show taking your phone calls, wondering what your take is on all that's going on in the world today. Also, don't forget, this is a listener-supported show. If you can, go to HomelandSecurityUS.com and click the donate button if you are able to support us. We really appreciate that. And if you do not have the financial means, like many of us, do so in prayer or by spreading the word of the show. We can use any support we can get.
That's
and
right.
We thank everyone for all their support that they show us on a nightly basis just by coming and listening.
I'm going to tell you, I feel like we have an extended family in our listenership, in our audience. I feel like, I was on the program today. I was on it. He presents. He does his show like it's a classroom, and he's the instructor, and he has his guests. He calls his guest instructors as well for preparedness and whatever the topic might be. But I feel in this case, in our show, we've got just a wonderful chat, wonderful family, extended family. But I don't want to take away from any more from the news because it's been a really, really big week for news.
We're going to go right back to calls, but first, TSA checkpoints. We're at a Mitt Romney political event.
Right.
This is from Infowars.com. Photos sent via email showed TSA screeners rifling through personal possessions at a Mitt Romney political event, including one ludicrous image of a TSA officer checking inside of a baseball cap, illustrating how the federal agency has expanded not only outside of the airport and outside of transportation entirely.
Exactly. That's the key here. Where's the transportation component to a Mitt Romney rally?
Yeah, you can guarantee anywhere I'm going to and I see a TSA agent booth set up ready to check me, whether it's a ball game, a hot dog stand, or onto my sidewalk, I'm turning around. Or I'm
so if you tune into one night to watch us in high def and you see an empty chair there, or you're listening, you know what happened, right?
Yeah.
But seriously, we're going to have T-shirts made up, and thank you for the ability to have this done. But T-shirts made up supporting our Fourth Amendment rights in a very humorous manner. And we also have some other things on the horizon, which folks are going to be surprised with and pleased with.
Along with a full-blown crisis now in 11 to 12 nations in the Middle East and North Africa, we have the U.S. credit rating has been downgraded as Bernanke begins to pump cash in again. And they say that there's huge potential economic and political fallout for the country and for the people implementing this plan. Faber, this is a headline off Drudge. I don't know who Faber is, Faber. He says if I were Bernanke, I would resign. So I'm sure he's some kind of financial expert.
Yeah. Look, but Bernanke has done...
If I was Bernanke, I would lock myself inside of a jail cell and hope that...
Keynesian economics. It's Keynesian economics. And I was astounded by a clip I saw, and I think... MSNBC did this clip, or I'm not even sure who did it, but I was astounded when they went to a Tea Party rally. It could have been even a Glenn Beck rally. I don't know. But they were talking to people about, they used the word Keynesian, but did not use the word economics, okay? And talking to people, well, people were getting Keynesian confused with Kenya. Keynesian economics refers to John Maynard Keynes, and that Keynesian economics is what is being employed right now. I would urge everyone, please, understand Keynesian economics, understand John Maynard Keynes, research John Maynard Keynes, research what is taking place, because with that, you're going to find, with that research that you do on your own, you're going to find exactly what's going to happen here in this country, or what is scheduled to happen, or could happen, or will likely happen. I'm not sure which phrase is more applicable, but you get the idea.
We're going to go to the phone lines, taking 480 call that was missed earlier. 480, you're on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Oh, hey guys, it's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. Good to talk.
How are you?
Oh, man. Look, this is Debbie from the chat room, and I've got to tell you, she is a great friend of the program, a great ally to have. Debbie, it's great to hear your voice.
Well, it's good to talk to you guys. Hey, I want to get Vern on, too. So, first, I just want to say thanks a bunch for all you're doing. I know how tough it is. I can't believe what's going on. I had posted in the chat room the article over at Front Page Magazine, written by Daniel Greenfield over there. Christopher Stevens feeds the crocodile. Can I read something to you real quick?
Please, yes.
Okay, this is what he wrote. He writes, Winston Churchill once said, an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last. And then he goes on to say, this is really, really enlightening. This article is outstanding. It talks about the secrecy that you talked about. He says, let's see where Christopher Stevens was a Middle Eastern diplomat who typified the new breed going from the University of Berkeley and the Peace Corps to desks in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Syria. He taught English to Moroccan children in the Peace Corps and helped Palestinian Arabs in the East Jerusalem Consulate, which has a firm policy of pretending that Israel does not exist. Okay? He then goes on to say, Stevens, like Clinton and Obama, made the hopes of Islamists his own, and they repaid him for it just as Afghans repaid America for supporting them against the Soviet Union, blah, blah, blah. He says, she said, he risked his life to stop a tyrant, then gave his life trying to build a better Libya, Hillary Clinton said. But if anything, his murder exposed the lie that there is a better Libya now than there was before Hillary, and he intervened in Libya, Clinton, before Hillary, and the lie that there is a better Libya now than there was before Hillary, and he and Hillary intervened in Libya. Clinton's eulogy comes perilously close to conceding Stevens' real mission and the degree of American intervention in the overthrow of Gaddafi. Stevens was the connection between the Islamic Benghazi and the Obama administration's illegal war to overthrow Gaddafi. His mission, like the true mission of the war, was secret, and the consulate, marginally fortified and devoid of Marines, reflected that secrecy. Stevens did not think that he had anything to fear from the Islamists because they were his friends.
Yeah, and with Stevens, Mr. John McCain, where you can find pictures of McCain with him, he was one of the big people who would go to Benghazi and bring the support, meaning the guns and the money, to the Libyans.
And Debbie, what you read there reminds me of the parable or the fable of the frog and the scorpion, where the frog is on one side of the pond, scorpion.
Yeah.
And
yes.
For the people that don't, just
you say the story. It's a great fable.
The frog is getting ready to cross the pond, and the scorpion the scorpion comes up to the frog and says, "Hey, would you give me a ride across the pond?" The frog says to the scorpion, "Well, no, I don't want to, because if we get halfway over, you're going to sting me and kill me." And,
kill me.
And the frog or the scorpion says, "No, I won't, because that means we'd both die." And the frog says, "Well, then, by the time we get over to the other end of the pond, you don't need me anymore. You're going to sting me and kill me then." And the scorpion says, "By that time, I'll be so grateful to that you took me over to the other side of the pond. Why would I sting you then?"
So part as friends. Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. And the scorpion or the frog says, "All right, get on my back." And they get halfway across the pond, and the scorpion stings the frog, and the frog looks up and says, "Why'd you do that? Why? Because we're both going to die." And the scorpion says, "Because it's my nature. Because I am a scorpion." And that's what we're
exactly
seeing.
Right.
That's exactly what we're seeing here.
These crazy people we see on the streets of America, and we go, my God, are they part of our population and our culture because they're absolutely whacked out crazy? Well, they got nations full of whacked out crazies. These people are bred like this. That's what they do. They're indoctrinated. Look at how they're raised.
Yeah, and that's
this is how they know.
And Debbie, that's what you just said is the reason why the New World Order globalists need the Islamic populace, because of what you just said. That's why they're so intertwined, because these people are committed to an ideology that can be exploited by the globalists.
Absolutely, and but I do not. When we talk about Romney, Obama, they're the same thing. I couldn't disagree more in that if people can't see what Obama has done so far, and he has to face re-election,
right?
I can't imagine what he's going to do after he gets re-elected. We will see what we see over there in America, and I don't want to go there.
I'm going to tell you
I don't want to go there. I don't think there'd be any putting Pandora's box lid back on. It'd be over with.
Once a president starts his second term, he becomes his own man, and he is answerable to no one, basically, because he's not facing any other re-election. And I'll tell you what, the mask, you think you've seen the real Obama? You haven't seen the real Obama.
Seen anything yet. He is one evil guy. Honestly and truthfully, my eyes were open when Bush I voted for him the first time, it went into the second term, and I didn't vote for him, and because I was mad at him because of the border. That never got any better. I mean, we've got so many problems here because of this. I mean, the people down in Tucson, nobody wants to live in Tucson anymore. and it's, I mean, when it all breaks loose, look at how close we are. But beyond that, the things that they have, I lost my train of thought. Shoot. There's so much to talk about.
It's overload. I know.
There's so much to talk about.
Well,
I had a really clear thought in my mind about this. So the open borders with Bush, and he allowed that to happen. I kept thinking, we got people jumping out of a 100-story building, and you people can't close the border. You can't build a fence. Are you out of your mind?
Right.
So that was when I was done with Bush, because that made no sense to me. And then I started reading and learning. And then when we remember the gas short, when the gas went to $4 and Pelosi shut the lights off and they went home for their summer vacation. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember it. That's when we were traveling to New York City every day, or every week. Yes.
Okay, then my eyes were open again, and I went, these people could care less about us. What is going on? So then that opened up for me. And then the health care was the final straw for me. Was those people have never worked harder at doing what they did to us, and they were not going to quit until they got it done. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see if that guy gets reelected. They're going to do exactly what they want to do, because they have run over us like we were standing still for 4 years.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And it's like you said, it's amazing that there's still support for Obama after everything he's done. How can he still poll 40%? How can his approval rating be that high? He should.
That's another thing. I wanted to, one more thing. I don't mean to overrun. I got to say this. The Revolutionary War. Do you know that 40% of Americans at that time, they figure 40% were still loyal to Britain and the King?
Yeah, and the other...
Okay, the other 40% could have cared less. They didn't care. They're like my sister who says, I got to watch TV. I'm not worried about that. Debbie, you're crazy, okay?
Right.
It was 10 to 15% that won our independence, and we are at least 10% of this population. I believe that.
Well, it's like...
And I believe they bit off more than they're going to chew, because we're not going to let up on this. It's not going to happen.
I totally agree with you. It's like we're in 1773, right now.
You betcha. And then you know what? They are ticked off that we have prepared. And I know, I don't agree with Glenn Beck on everything, but this food preparation and stuff like that, I've had a lot of horses rescued, and it's hurt me for my preparation, but we're working on it. But the truth is that, remember when they made a comment a couple weeks ago and said, or 3 weeks ago, and they were advertising how you can get on food stamps because they're disappointed that more Americans aren't taking advantage of the help they could get?
Yeah, and it's hurting the economy because they're not getting on the food stamps.
Yeah, what kind of thinking is that? Well, again, that's Keynesian economics.
Well, they want us to be dependent, is my point, because then we'll go into their camps. That's what that's all about, I think.
Yeah.
And they're disappointed that we and the election in 2010, we ran them over like a steamroller. They didn't see that Tea Party coming. They didn't see it.
Yeah.
And the Tea Party isn't gone. We just got smarter.
Yes, but the 2010 candidates appeared to have, not all of them, but a lot of them that ran on the Tea Party platform have acquiesced to the...
I agree, but if we got a dozen more, we got a dozen more. This is going to take a long time to fix this problem. That's what I think the rest of our lives we're going to be fighting this.
Well, the rest of our lives, this generation, I believe, yes, I agree with you on that.
I don't know. Anyways, I don't mean to. I get so passionate. I'm so upset about it all because it just hurts me.
No, you're a passionate lady. I've had the pleasure of talking to you off air, and I'll tell you what. I know you. You're passionate, and you've got every look.
I love this country, and I love my fellow Americans, and I'm so grateful. I came out of a Christian. My dad was a heavy drinker and just a hellion, and my mother eventually converted him before he died. And so I was raised by a great-grandmother. My mother was great, and I intend to keep passing that, like Larry said last night. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. You just keep passing it forward, and we can only do the best we can do in our own little world, in our own little sphere, you know?
That's it, you know, and I'll tell you what, back to what Henry Gruver said, and we talked about this, you know, when it gets too heavy, when the news just, you know, pounds you from all sides, take a walk,
yep.
for roses, you know, do that.
I go down to my barn. That's what my horses do for me. That's just...
Yeah,
being with God to me.
I got to take my dog for a walk, and people do what they do, you know, and that's what we have to do, because otherwise you just go, you know, insane. I mean, it's just crazy.
Either that or drink and do drugs. Neither of which I do, so there you go. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, you know, it's long past my... I'm way past that, so okay.
Well, I love you guys, and I'll let you go so you can get a hold of Vern and get him on, but thanks for everything.
Thanks for your call, Debbie, and thank you for everything.
Yes, the 70s. All right.
All right, my friend.
Good night. I'm just answering somebody in the chat in the 70s. Yeah, I don't remember much of this decade of the 70s. But
well, let's see if Vern does. We are bringing Vernon on.
Hey, how's everyone doing? God bless.
How you doing, Vernon?
Bro.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. First of all, I'm going to say to Debbie, God bless you. Love you, darling. You're so on point. Doug first and Joe first, I'm going to say thank you very much for your support last night.
It was we had a big show. Vernon has got a show on Blog Talk Radio called Conspiracy Files, right?
Yes.
And I was lucky enough to spend some time with him last night right after our program.
Oh, it was our honor. It was our pleasure to have you on board. You know, you really don't have no idea how much that meant to me, really.
Wow.
And Joe, thank you for setting it up. That's part of the support level. And all those that was in the room. I'm sorry?
I just wanted to apologize for not sticking around.
Yeah, that was still part of the support level, and I truly appreciate it, you know. And all those that came in to be with us, we truly appreciate it. Doug, I'm gonna have to say this: you took when Debbie was talking, you took my train of thought. Only my version was a turtle and a snake.
Same principle, though, you know.
Yeah, same principle. You know, I have a train of thought because it's circulating a little bit, and I'm gonna put this link in the room in a minute. And if I can read just a segment of this, as outrage spread, the film's origin still remains murky. Whose idea was it? Who financed it? At the heart of the mystery was the filmmaker himself, a man identified in the casting call as Sam Bassel, Bassiel. On the call sheet as Sam Bassel, Bassil, and reported at first by news outlets as Sam Baksili, Bacile. But federal officials considered that the man to be Nakalu Baseli, that's a Bsseley, Nakabola, who, if I pronounce that right, who was convicted in 2009 of bank fraud. The FBI contacted the filmmaker because of the potential for threats, a federal law enforcement official told CNN Thursday, but he is not under investigation. Okay, with media parked at his residence in Cerritos, California, Nakalu called the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Wednesday night to report the disturbance, said spokesman Steve Whitmore, who wanted local police to protect him. When news of his movie first broke, the filmmaker identified himself as Sam Basili, Bacile, and told the Wall Street Journal that he was a 52-year-old Israeli-American real estate developer from California. He said Jewish donors had financed his film. But Israel's foreign minister said there was no record of Sam Basili with Israeli citizenship, starting to sound like Obama and his birth certificate. This guy is totally anonymous. At this point, no one can confirm he holds his Israeli citizenship, and even if he did, we are not involved, Minister spokesman Yagal Parmar said. And I'm going to post a link, and you can read the rest from that point. You know what? It's like I told Pastor Paul at one point, because he even spoke on it. It's kind of ironic how Obama won't give Benjamin Netanyahu an audience. All right, and we're supposed to be allies. Now, being Egypt and Mohammed Morsi being the arch enemy, okay, of Israel, along with Assad, I mean, not Assad, but Ahmadinejad from Iran. And now, all of a sudden, you know, we have went from, you know, support of Israel, we have went to maneuvers in Israel, we have bases in Israel. All those maneuvers have been placed to a halt, and then we start financially support. We've been financially supporting, but now we got $1.5 billion that we've given to Mohammed Morsi, who are killing Christians in the courtyard by way of crucifixion. Then we're sending weapons and tanks and financially supporting Egypt, arch enemies, which naturally is going to get turned on Israel. It's going to get turned on the United States, and yet we're supplying them. And we were allegedly supposed to start having maneuvers right when this movie was released. It sounds too much to me like somebody, intelligence department, that perpetrated this to hamper those deals, which would, hey, we could understand that in a roundabout way, okay? But it's just too many inconsistencies here. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, well, yes. Vern, look, the film itself has many characteristics, as I said earlier, of the Osama bin Laden films that came out that were obvious fakes. This is a setup. This is a false flag. This is designed. The violence over there has nothing to do with this film. But, you know, people will believe it does because, hey, it makes sense. But the pedigree, as you mentioned, about the guy supposedly behind the film, no. This film was, and it was on the internet for a long time. Mm-hmm. So right. I've got to tell you, Vernon, it's nothing to do with the film.
No, not at all. And, you know, I'm conceded to the fact that because of Scripture, the wars in the Middle East are going to take place. I mean, there's just no two ways around that.
That's correct.
And with that in mind, the United States is not mentioned nowhere. Okay, at the same time, like you mentioned, Doug, earlier, here it is, China is taking advantage of this situation to go against Japan over these islands.
That's right.
You know, and we're in a boiling pot. You know, it's just like the old song by the Temptations, Ball of Confusion. You know, meantime, here in the United States, you know, we're being oppressed, suppressed, depressed, you know, and no wonder why the Scripture says in that day men's heart would fail them for fear of the things that's going to come upon the earth. You know, I've conceded to this point. In order for this new world order, like we was talking about secret orders, secret societies last night, it's these same people that are orchestrating this new world order. And in order to control the entire globe, they have to bring the United States in control, okay, or under their thumb, so to speak. And that's what we see going on. We're being systematically dismantled, destroyed, and we're going to be totally removed out of that picture so that the scriptures of Isaiah and Ezekiel can take place.
That's right.
You know, and that's what I see. So the bottom line here is, okay, if you're a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, put a neck brace on, tighten it up, and keep your eyes focused because the King of Kings is on his way. If you're not in the ark of safety with Jesus Christ, know that these things are coming to pass. The word of God is true. It cannot lie. He's not the son of man that he should lie. He's not the son of man that he should repent. He's not a God that he should lie or the son of man that he should repent. Okay? So the word is going to be true. God is going to be true to his word.
Yes.
These things are going to happen. And the United States is in trouble.
Oh.
If you're not in the ark of safety, I urge you to get in the ark of safety today. And that's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Right, Vernon.
Get saved.
Get saved. Accept the Lord Jesus Christ. He is our ark of safety. He is the Prince of Peace. He is our Savior.
Amen, Vernon. We have a few other people on hold. Is there anything you'd like to say? Any last thoughts before we let you go?
Well, just in closing, whenever you decide to have a show on the drug, if we're still here, if you decide to have a show on the about them drugs type thing, I have a very explosive outlook on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do have to get that.
Well, I know.
So, all right.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, I'll look for you gentlemen back on the show, and I'm gonna try to hook up another one where I can get you guys in and. Even Pastor Paul at the same time. I'm going to try to coordinate that. Okay?
A great round table. Very good, Vernon. Thanks, buddy.
Well, God bless everyone and keep looking up. The King of Kings is on his way.
Right.
Thank you, Vernon.
Very good. Very good. Vernon's a great guy. And that show last night was really good.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go on there. I rushed out of here.
Yes, you did, like a little puppy. But he had, I think it was Dr. Caitlin Williams, I think,
Caitlin Williams,
Catlin.
Professor of Theology, University of Philadelphia, right. Something like that. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to area code 916. 916, you're on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, this is Pamela Burnett.
I've been thinking about you, Pamela.
Yeah, I've been trying to reach you, Doug. But I'll talk to you about that offline. But, so anyway, I was calling in because, you had, the topic of the day is all what's going on in the Middle East. And I was listening to the radio today, unfortunately. I try not to listen to AM radio anymore because it's completely controlled, as is all the TV networks and cable networks.
Everything.
By the propaganda machine, And I got so angry, I was like screaming in my car because they kept regurgitating that all this violence in the Middle East, it was from the video, it was from the movie, the violence caused by the movie. So I just wanted to let you know what was going on AM radio.
Wow.
You hadn't listened to that. And that was like allegedly conservative station. And I was just
Pamela.
Every time I was driving, it was only an hour and a half drive, but every time they had a news break, it came on, and it was the same regurgitation about the alleged that the movie causes, and that And I listened to Rush Limbaugh today, and he actually had a somewhat decent show, but I listened to Carney. The spokesperson for Obama.
Yeah. How about him?
Wow.
Yeah, completely. I'm sorry, I have you on speaker. He kept saying the movie. It was the movie, and Rush Limbaugh nailed it. He was told to go out there, and the answer to every question regarding the attacks in the Middle East, the answer was the movie caused it. It's because of the movie. And then we find out that, these attacks were planned a week in advance.
Yes.
And they were warned. Egypt was warned about the attack. Egyptian intelligence let them know about the oncoming attacks. And it's so maddening.
Pam, I've got to say that Egypt, Morsi in particular, the Muslim Brotherhood was complicit in these attacks. The Muslim Brotherhood, the same Muslim Brotherhood that's in the office or in the White House right now.
In the State Department, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman. I can't remember how to pronounce her name.
Huma Abedin.
The Wiener's wife.
Yes,
Huma from that set-up marriage.
Right.
Set-up Sam Washington, D.C. marriage. So, she, her mother is like, isn't she the founder, one of the founders, or like the top people in the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yes,
the branch, the female sect of it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And people will tell you with a straight face that the Muslim Brotherhood and the communists have not infiltrated our country. And and again, that speaks to your efforts, Pamela. And then for the folks that don't know Pamela Barnett, a leader in attempting to get Obama to release his official records, including his birth records. That's who we're talking to tonight. And Pamela, what's your website?
ObamaBallotChallenge.com.
ObamaBallotChallenge.com. Folks, I would urge everyone to bookmark that website.
Yeah.
And to visit that website. Look, we don't know. Pamela, who the heck's in the White House? Who's running things? Do we know? We don't even know who it is, do we?
Right. The whole problem is that there's absolutely no background investigation required for a presidential candidate, a president-elect, or even a president to pass a background check to be able to view top-secret information that affects the entire country.
And
the reason why it's not required is that the BS argument that it would be extra constitutional to have an extra requirement that's not within the Constitution. So really, what we really need is to get an amendment that in the future that we have presidents have to pass a background investigation to be able to handle the most top secret parts of our country. Everything when this illegal Indonesian, Kenyan, British spy, whatever he is, radical Muslim sympathizer gets out of office, we're going to have to rework every bit of intelligence in this country. We're going to have to rework all of our programs. We're going to have to rehide where everything's supposed to rehide all of our sensitive sites for the military and for all of our intelligence. And it's going to be, everything has to be scrubbed, everything, because we cannot trust that he knows all this stuff. And it's really frightening to think that he might get in for another 4 years, because if he does, this country is just going to be gone. I
agree, Pamela, very much I agree. ObamaBallotChallenge.com. That's ObamaBallotChallenge.com. Pamela Barnett, what a great patriot you are. Anything else on your mind?
I'll tell you real quick. I saw some bad news today regarding the ballot challenges, and that's regarding trying to keep Obama off the ballot because he's, for several different reasons. One, because of his forged birth certificate, Social Security number from Connecticut that's not his, that he's currently, and his forged selective service card, which is his draft card. That had to be forged for him to be able to work in the federal government as an executive branch, because he never signed one, most likely because he was still an Indonesian citizen when he was 18 years old when he allegedly signed up, and that was around the age when he started using the fake Social Security number too.
Okay.
But so the lawsuits are regarding that, and they're also regarding the fact that the true definition of natural-born citizen is someone who is born within the jurisdiction of
our audience can hear us.
Okay.
There she is.
Oh, wait, we're down now. Isn't this interesting? We're down. We're off. We're off the air.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
And the poor man, he works for a university, the one who brought the challenge. He was intimidated and harassed, and his family was intimidated and harassed, and he withdrew his complaint.
Really? Now, you know what?
So that just happened today.
Pamela, you might be surprised to learn that we didn't hear a word you said. But now, that doesn't mean you have to repeat it because the audience did. But we.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
What's the last thing you heard?
I
heard like a little. It sounded like a little rewind sound.
Well, it seems like
kind of like a mixing sound on like a DJ, like wah, like
wow.
Wah.
Well, see, and this happens when we talk about certain things. I'm going to tell you, you might think I'm out of my mind in conspiracy land here.
It happened last time I talked to you, too.
Yeah, and either certain topics, and this is one of them. We have all kinds of audio problems, but...
Well, I'd be happy to say it again.
Go ahead.
In Kansas, they intimidate the university, and other people intimidated this man and his family, and to the point where he withdrew his challenge to Obama. And this is in Kansas, and this just happened today. I think the Mercury News covered it, and WorldNet Daily covered it, and
now wait.
But we're really up against an evil force.
Wait, what do you? This man was harassed because why? Tell me again.
Oh, because he had a ballot challenge in front of Kansas, the Kansas Election Authority, and they were deciding it, and they were going to come back on Monday with a decision. And in the meantime, this man, he works for a university, and most universities are completely liberal, progressive, to the point of being completely unreasonable and fascist.
Right.
And they intimidated him to the point where they said that he would lose his tenure. I was told that he was threatened. I haven't confirmed this, but that he would lose his tenure if he kept on with the challenge against Obama.
Isn't that something?
But they also threatened his family.
Honest.
And he said the reason for withdrawal was for intimidation. And for, I forget what word he used, but just total harassment and bad feelings, and people letting him know that they weren't happy with him. So they just gave him so much grief that he withdrew it.
If he wants to reconsider, he can come on this show. We've got a large platform, a large listening audience, and I'm certain we can bring the pressure, or even. Pamela, if you want to send me an email with this information, we will make sure it gets spread around and published. But then again, the gentleman might not want that to happen because the retribution on him.
He may have been really threatened, and maybe he's scared now. But at least he came out and said why, and didn't go silent. So we know what we're up against. Like I said, we're up against a really evil force.
Yes.
And these people have no conscience. And no sense of what's right and wrong.
No, they don't.
They're total fascists. They only care about themselves, don't care about anybody else. There's no morals in their life that they go by.
Yes.
They have no good moral standing.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And I think you hit it on the head when you said that they're evil, and of course they're fascists, and the two are synonymous. But I want to thank you for calling in. I really do, and certainly we can hook up. Do send me an email. We'll talk off air at a mutually convenient.
If you want to, you could just look up Kansas election challenge Obama, those keywords, and you'll find the link.
Okay. All right. Very good. Will do. Pamela.
And then the other items, if you can contact me, my request to you, and let me know if you think you could accommodate what I requested.
Did you send me a request of some kind?
Yeah, I sent a couple of emails to your Homeland Security sites over the last couple weeks.
I'm going to double check that because Pamela, I don't remember getting any.
Somebody said that they tried to send an email and someone said it was full.
No. I mean, no. I've got that should never be full. It doesn't retain emails. Let me look, Pamela, and if not, I'll contact you directly.
Yeah, hopefully you still have my email address. I'll try emailing you again too.
Yeah, please do, because I have a feeling I did not get those emails.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about briefly. Wanted to talk to you about possibly doing a fundraising thing for the legal challenges, because we're really at a standstill for money for continuing these legal challenges to Obama.
Okay.
It would be a really good show too, because we could have attorneys and activists on, and There's a lot of interesting stuff going on right now.
Do you believe, Pamela, do you believe at this late stage of the game it's, I mean, the ultimate objective here, I believe, is for Obama to be taken out of the White House in handcuffs based on the workings of the Maricopa County law enforcement body and or any law enforcement body. I doubt that's going to happen, but I would like to see that happen. But do you think it's too late in the game for any further legal challenges to Obama?
Oh, no, it's not too late in the game. And we just had an Illinois challenge filed yesterday, too. And this one's interesting because it's in the primaries he also challenged, and the Board of Elections in Illinois said that Obama was eligible, and they based it off of the forged birth certificate, which is one of the only states where they did that.
Wow.
And now we have the evidence of forgery, so that was submitted with the general election challenge. And we would really love for Sheriff Arpaio or Mike Zullo to go out there. The hearing's on Monday. So. Yeah,
and where are the hearings in what's the, tell me again, Illinois?
They're in Springfield.
Okay.
And in Chicago.
Okay.
They do a teleconference type thing because all of the people that are on the Board of Elections, they don't want to live in Springfield. They don't want to bother to travel down there, so they set up a teleconference. So you can either go to Chicago, where the really evil attorneys are that are on the board, or you can go to Springfield.
Wow.
So,
I'd love to see that. I don't know. Wow, my goodness.
If you know how to get a hold of Sheriff Arpaio or Mike Zullo, please ask them to show up.
I can contact Mr. Zullo. I don't know what kind of response I'll get, but I can certainly give that a try.
It's this Monday. This Monday in Illinois, so 10:30 in the morning.
All right. Well, let me see what I can do in that respect, because see if we can hook up and see what he's got to say about that, and who knows.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right.
You guys, thank you for all the work that you do, and have a good evening.
Thank you for your work. God bless you, man. Take care.
You. Yeah, you too. Thank you. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's Pamela Burnett. What a nice. I'll tell you, she really knows her stuff too. By the way.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm slipping you a note saying, here, contact Pam Barnett, and
I thought perhaps that was some sort of.
We got about 8 minutes left, and we have about 3 callers on the line.
We're going to move quickly through these.
Take some of these calls. Area code 219. You're on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann report. Area code 219.
We hear you. There you go.
Hey, God bless you. I'm Doug and Joe. Let me turn the speaker down.
All right.
All right, Doug and Joe. How you feeling?
Feeling great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I just want to let you guys know, listen, I totally agree with what you guys are doing, and I just want to let you know I lift you guys up in my morning prayers when I speak to the Almighty, that He'll protect you guys, that He'll intervene in the lives of your families and your marriages, because I know whenever one speaks the truth today, all hell comes against us. So I just want to let you know that I'm praying for you guys.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, that means a lot to us.
Yes,
and you're right, because we've been in the front lines here of we've been getting some flack lately. Let's just say that. So.
Oh, I know. But listen, believe me, I know. But I just wanted to just say one quick little thing. I was listening to the True News with Rick Wiles, and he had a gentleman there discussing the nuclear saber rattling that's going on with Israel and Iran, and again what's going on between the U.S. and Israel. And he was, speaking of the ramifications of what could happen of the coming war before October, at October. But he brought up one possible scenario that shook me to my core. He said that there's a possibility that the United States of America can take military action against the nation of Israel.
Yeah, I've heard that.
When that man made... Go ahead.
No, I've heard that. You're referencing John Galt,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I've heard that. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is That possibility does not even exist in 99% of the Christian mentality in this country. This country is so wicked. It's so corrupt. These people are satanic within the U.S. government. But if that ever were to happen, if the U.S. were to ever take military action against the nation of Israel for whatever reason, I'm here to let you know in the name of the Almighty himself, there will be a response from the realm of heaven. There will be an overflowing hailstones and fire and brimstone and sulfur, and this country will be destroyed immediately. We won't even have to wait for nothing else, Doug. We won't have to wait, because that piece of real estate to God, I'm speaking about God in the biblical sense, that piece of real estate to God is extremely important to God.
No, absolutely.
Extremely.
No, I mean, that's God's land. That's God's land and God's city. And
that's where his son was.
You do not mess with that land.
Yes.
Thou shalt not, and thus saith the Lord. And the Bible is filled with those, and you better sit up and pay attention when words like that are being used.
Yeah, 100% of prophecy is accurate, and prophecy is accurate 100% of the time, and it's right.
Well, let me let you. I'm gonna go after this because I got a couple more callers. There's a super typhoon that's getting ready to hit Japan. They're talking about Cat 6. There's a volcanic eruption somewhere in Central America where, they're very evacuating. Right. And the whole country is shaking and quivering. I tell you, Doug and Joe, we just need to pray because everything is shaking. And one more scripture for God's people. Boast not of thyself of tomorrow, for no man knows what a day may bring forth. Folks, we don't know what the next moment is going to bring. We really don't. Something can happen now, tonight, tomorrow. We don't know. We could see political assassinations across the United States. We can see massive plagues breaking out. Friend, get to know God. Get to know God. And God bless you guys. God bless you.
God bless you indeed.
Thank you for the call.
He was right, too.
Right
I'm
on the money, yes.
And I'll tell you what, the first thing, the first thing that should hit the floor, not your feet, but your knees. Go on.
I want to thank him for reminding me. I did pull this article up out of the Washington Post. Guatemala volcano erupts outside tourist center. Officials order 33,000 evacuated. I have not seen an update from this story, and this was either from yesterday or early this morning. A long simmering volcano exploded with a series of powerful eruptions outside one of Guatemala's most famous tourist attractions on Thursday, hurling thick clouds of ash nearly 2 miles high, spewing rivers of lava down flanks and prompting its evacuation orders for more than 33,000 people in surrounding communities. Now, this is just one example, one volcano. There, as our last caller stated, the earth is shaking all across the globe, and volcanoes, disease, all kinds of things are taking place. And if it's not natural, it is man-made civil unrest, man-made economic unrest.
Engineered chaos.
The chaos is here. It is increasing in frequency and in severity.
Didn't we write about this on HomelandSecurityUS.com and in CanadaFreePress.com? Didn't we write about this HomelandSecurityUS.com in this summer?
And the best way it's been described to me, and our audience has heard it too, is the birth pains that we're going through now is like childbirth. They intensify. When you're in labor, your contractions get closer and closer, and the closer your baby comes, the more and more it hurts. And the more and more it hurts until, boom, the baby comes out, and, there's childbirth.
Almost
the pain's
sounds
over.
like you're very familiar with that, but you're not.
No, but that's the way that I've always heard it explained, and I can see why, because we see what's happening, we see the intensity and frequency, and sadly, there's a lot more of that intensity and frequency, because we have not seen anything yet.
Look, we've got a minute left. I apologize to the callers on hold, and hopefully, folks, God willing, we're going to get through this weekend without any incident. I would really watch this weekend carefully with respect to the Middle East events.
Stay with your family.
90 seconds.
And I'll say this, if anything happens with respect to the Middle East that is earth-shaking, check HomelandSecurityUS.com. We'll be on the air for a special program this weekend because I've got to tell you, I don't have a good feeling about this.
Also, go to Team K9 YouTube channel. That's Team KNEIN.
Off of our website. You can see the link right there.
We just uploaded the show with Henry Groover up to our YouTube channel, so go ahead and...
60 seconds.
It's available in our archives here, but also on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what a great program that was.
We want to thank each and every one of you for listening this week. We had a jam-packed week. Henry Groover, Steve Quayle, Larry Grathwold. We did a show on 9/11. Also, we're going to contact that Miss Leslie. Both have her on hopefully next week on her vaccine and
that's right.
Child illness. With that, we just want to thank each and every one of you for listening, supporting, praying, helping, keeping the show on air. And any last words you'd like to say?
You know what? It's just through the grace of God and through your assistance that we're able to do what we do, and we hope that we never let you down. God bless you, and have a good weekend. Until Monday, good night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Adore